It's kind of hard to talk about, but there was a point where I would find myself crying on my shift, and I would hide so people didn't see me. I really felt like I just didn't want to be alive anymore if that was the future that I had to look forward to. Every day that I drove into work was exhausting, just thinking about having to come in and start that 10-hour shift, being on my feet. My feet hurt all the time.
I'm very proud of the culture that we have at Amazon.
Seth King is a former Amazon employee. He is a veteran of the United States Navy. You served 8 years in the Navy, is that right, Seth?
Yes. I'm used to a job being physically demanding. There's not a lot of jobs that I don't think I can handle once I got out. I guess I was proven wrong.
Their model is basically, it's a revolving door of just bodies that they're throwing at the floor.
I was pretty optimistic about it at first, and then within the first day you realize, oh, this is gonna take a lot out of me. You have about 10 or 15 minutes after you clock in where you're with everybody else who's starting the shift in the same area of the warehouse. They do a couple stretches. You get a scanner, you clock into the scanner. I was a stower, so you'd grab a cart that had a bunch of boxes on it, scan all the boxes, and then open them one by one, taking the pieces out, scanning them, and scanning the bins that you're gonna put them into. They'd always give us this rate at the beginning of the shift, but no matter how hard I tried, even the days where I thought I was doing really well, I'd find myself falling 20% short of that goal that they've set for me. And I don't know if I ever met anybody that had reached those numbers. It just seemed like something that was always unattainable.
You're not allowed to sit down, you're not allowed to talk to other people in the same aisles. If you were caught talking to other people, you'd get written up.
The lack of social interaction, I thought it was something mentally that I could tough out. It just gradually became harder and harder the more I found myself cut off from the world. You get 2 15-minute breaks and a lunch break that's 30 minutes. Even though they're 15-minute breaks, if you want to go to the break room on your break, it's a 5-minute walk there just to get off the floor, and then a 5-minute walk back.
You're tracked every second of the day. Every second that you're out there, somebody's watching you.
You do your break stuff and then come back, and on that exact 15-minute mark when you get back, you have to be scanning an item into the bin. So you even have to kind of go back early just to get started on that. I had to use those breaks to use the restroom, because if I did use the restroom when I wasn't on break, I would have a floor manager come and find me and ask me why I wasn't being productive.
The first training day, we started with about 30 people, and by the 4th training day, there was only 8 because so many realized they just weren't cut for how physically demanding the job was. I felt that pretty immediately, but I needed the money.
I would think to myself, once I got off, I was gonna go home and do it. I really felt like killing myself.
Towards the end of the time I was there, I was so depressed, and I kept telling myself, if this is the best my life is going to get, why am I even still here? And I called one of my best friends, and she told me, if working there really makes you feel like this, if you feel like taking your own life because of the job you're working at, don't work there. There's no work environment that should make you feel like that. And so I left, and thank you.
And the issue of working conditions, I'm very proud of our working conditions.
Look how much money he's making. It's never gonna be his concern whether or not we're okay. To Amazon's bottom line, we're statistics. There was an older lady, she and I always ended up running into each other when we were out on the floor. Every week or so, she had some new brace because she was trying to keep up with how demanding the job was. It was already hurting me, you know, and I'm still in my 20s, fresh out of the military. To see her having to work under the same conditions as I was, and it physically, literally break her.
And this is a company owned by a person whose wealth increases $275 million every single day. And those are the kinds of conditions that workers are living under who work for Mr. Bezos.
Maybe that's why Amazon is experimenting with drones, because they work and they don't complain.
It's pretty ridiculous that he is the richest man in the world and has people working full-time at Amazon having to apply for food stamps because they can't afford to eat.
As we hear these stories, it speaks to the incredible culture of greed in this country. I mean, Seth talked about it. People, in a sense, are disposable. So we work somebody to a point of no return, and then we get rid of them, we bring somebody else in. And we have to ask ourselves a very fundamental question as to whether or not that is the kind of country and the kind of economic culture that we are comfortable with. And I think most Americans are not.